Hey guys, we're in my attic of my shop, and today we're installing an exhaust fan. Why am I shooting the intro in the attic with half the exhaust already ran? I forgot to shoot an intro. Let's get to it. Let's get dusty. Okay, so why do an exhaust fan now, at this point in the shop when I've had the shop for 5 or so years? Well, you see, when I did the trailer build a few videos ago, I had ended up leaving the shop, coming back in, and I saw the air was just full of whatever welding stuff there is. And my wife in the past has yelled at me for painting with everything closed up because she comes in and yeah. So what I decided to do is, after I saw all that stuff in the air, I was like, I gotta figure out a way to get that out. In the spring and in the summer, that's not a big deal. I open up the doors, we're set to go. The problem is if I'm finishing something in those seasons, I want to keep the dust controlled. And then in the winter, obviously, I gotta keep the shop closed up to keep it heated. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna install an exhaust fan that is gonna stick out the gable end of the shop in the back, right over my lean-to area out here. Now what I'm using is, I bought a louvered fan off of Amazon. I bought everything off Amazon. I'll link everything in the description below. Everything all together, I'm about $140-ish in here. It does work because I was just doing a welding project. Had the fan off, let the building get disgusting, turned on, and then it sucked it out pretty quickly, so I was pretty happy. So with that being said, let's just go and I'll show you how I installed the whole thing. A little behind the scenes footage for you guys here. So it's like the night before I actually do this install, and I just came out to make sure that I had all the parts that arrived, everything was good and working, so I could film the video. The big problem that I found that I'm going to have is the fact that the air ducting doesn't just slip right over this caged fan. So I'm going to have to build something that will allow that air duct to slide over this cage fan. So that's what I'm going to do probably tonight, so I can install tomorrow. Here's what I had to come up with. Now, yes, it does look like an aluminum traffic cone or a small little robot, but I was going to build a box around the exhaust fan and then do a circle on top of that, and it would look whatever, but I realized that I wouldn't be able to use the mounting flange if I built up around it. So I just made a cone shape out of that aluminum flashing, and I just used the aluminum tape to get it together. Aesthetically, doesn't look the best, but I think it will actually work. This aluminum tape, pretty expensive, but did the trick. I fastened it to the fan itself with a giant bead of silicone around the edge here. I also siliconed where the cord comes through because I thought all of that vibration, I don't want that cord and that bare steel to be hanging out. So bead of silicone in there, big bead of silicone around, and then I just used that aluminum tape to hold us to there. That's a little behind the scenes again. This is the day before I even install everything. Did not think this was going to be a thing, but here we are. So I'm going to send you to tomorrow when I start installing this. If you're looking at this and you're thinking silicone, tape, all that, if you ever have to get to this to replace the motor or do any maintenance or anything on this, how are you going to do it? That's a good question, my friend. No, that's all I have. This is a good question. I don't know. Figure, get there when I get there. So step one was to climb up on the roof of the lean-to behind the shop and remove the siding out of that gable end. And then using a level, a tape measure, and a square, I made the square, oh, you see that bug? I made out the square that the vent is going to be, and then I was able to take a drill a hole in each corners, and then just using a jigsaw, I just connected all the dots with the jigsaw to cut that square out. And using my strength, I get right through this wall. You can see here, this is where I just cut out. Now you can see I cut that support piece right there on the truss. Now you might be thinking to yourself, am I concerned about that because I just cut that out? No, because I'm going to reinforce each side of there with a new one, so it should be stronger. I also have to cut this out. Now I don't know if this is important. I put this up when I built the shop, but I need to cut that out, but I'm also going to just make a new one and move it up. So what I'm saying is I am cutting out some possible structural support, but I'm just going to restructure it probably better than what it was. Okay, we have been reinforced, so hopefully now the shop doesn't fall over. I think that's probably going to be pretty substantial. I got the two supports on the sides now. I don't know why I feel like I have to defend myself to you guys, but I just do. So it's time to put the vent in now. You're hanging out on some insulation, so don't fall. This is really becoming a giant pain in the ass or not. attempt number 3 to put this thing in. Oh, I don't have the right dang size. Oh, Atlanta, Georgia. Got the one on. Level this bad boy up because you don't want it to be unlevel on the outside. Inside doesn't matter. Oh, yeah. My leg's cramping up here. Ah, this is going freaking terrible. Son of a biscuit eater's asshole. There. 2 screws in. She's level. All right. There. Installed. After the vent was installed, I just went back through and then I put siding back up and around that. Now, I don't know the right way to do this, so I'm not going to show you a whole lot, but this is how I did it. All right, the fan is installed. The siding has been all replaced. It looks nice and pretty out there. At least I think it is from the start. So next is I got to add this box piece to the ceiling, which is where we're going to actually pick the air up from. I think I'm going to put it about right in this area. It's almost centered in the shop. I got the drop-down table, so that'll stay out of the way. So we're just going to, I got to frame out and plug that thing into the ceiling. And now really that's all that's left. I need to connect the ceiling to the gable vent. I'm going to use this flexible giant air duct hose stuff with a couple big old clamps. Alright, so I need to connect this to this. Don't fall through the ceiling. Okay? You're just on insulation. Don't do it. Alright. Hi guys! Hi, look at me! Alright. Just don't ever forget, hose clamp goes on first, because if you don't, you'll be upset. I hit my head. Because if you don't, you'll be upset when you later on you have to take everything back apart to put a clamp on. Nothing left to it but to do it. That's kind of what I thought would happen. I thought it would fight me. So let's do the other end first. Oh gosh, golly gee. It's all up in my grill. Hello. Okay, well, I'm gonna figure something out here because this is not just slipping over like it's supposed to. So I bought this 10-inch crimp thing. I got it in there, and I'm just crimping it around. Can someone explain to me why I bought everything 10-inch and nothing fits? I don't understand why everything is supposed to be 10 inches and it's not fitting. On the plus side, I will not need a hose clamp. That worked out pretty well. Okay. Oh, that was terrible. All right. Okay, so here's the gable end where the exhaust fan actually is and enters. Behind me is the tube, and then over here is where it actually runs through the ceiling. Now, I bought a 25-foot flexible hose because I wasn't sure how far I was going to go. Wish I would have figured that out because I went all of about 6 feet. So, am I worried about these ribs on this thing gaining condensation and holding moisture? I mean, maybe a little bit, but I don't think it's going to really pull a lot of moisture out. It's not like this is a shower. For the electrical, I'm not going to show you and explain how I did it because I don't want you to burn your house down. But know that I just added a outlet up into the attic, which then was controlled by a timer switch that I ended up putting on the lower half of it, which was pretty easy. You just hit the button and then it turns it on as long as you want. Okay, can you hear it? I have the exhaust fan actually running. So the exhaust fan is on. It's not very loud, and as you can see from the thing moving, it's sucking. Alright, so I had the big hole in the ceiling. You saw the vent where it comes up. And I wanted a vent cover, and I looked up online, I looked up at the store, and they're like $25, $30+ for the size that I would need. So I just made my own. So I just took some 1/4-inch plywood, and I actually laid a saw blade right around there, and then I just did some little shapes there, and I cut everything out, sanded it and painted it, and it looks a lot better than just an open hole. So if you notice that it still kind of looked crappy because there was a gap between where that vent cover sat and where the ceiling was, that's because that box thingamajig is actually designed for when you're doing new construction or anything like that, and you're going to cover it with drywall, and that'll help flush it all out. But what I'm going to be doing next, spoiler alert, is I'm going to be putting OSB all up on the ceiling and covering it for that. Well, that'll be in a later on video. And then it's going to flush everything out, and then I will put some nice screws in there, and I'll make it look really nice. It was just a nice little way for me to save a little bit of money, and then also make it a little more custom for my shop. So one thing that I am actually concerned about is I've worked in a paint shop before which had a huge exhaust fan, and the problem was in the winter when we had the shop closed up and had the exhaust on, there was such a pull that it would actually pull the pilot from the furnace into the wires. So I don't know if I'm going to have any issues with it. I don't have, basically I have the exhaust, I don't have an intake anywhere, I don't have a window to open. But if worst case scenario and I find that I do need to create some kind of intake, my plan is to actually put a screen door on my service doors. I'm not against it, but I don't really want to do it, so we'll see where we are at with the intake, but that is a potential issue down the road. That's it. So thank you guys for watching. I have a lot of shop upgrades coming up. I don't know how many videos I'm going to make of them, but this was part one of a complete overhaul of the shop. So make sure you guys stay tuned to see any other cool stuff that I do. I will see you guys in the next video. See ya!